on, guys? My name is Nate Gottier. I'm here with Amanda Flinn, local author. We're going to be learning her story tonight. So excited, but before we get there, a quick word from our sponsor. Stop by Super Fresh Kitchens in Cape Girardeau for super fresh salads, snacks, and more. Located on Kings Highway. So, Amanda, we're very excited to have you on tonight. Thank you for joining us. We are just learning people's stories. So it's really just a time to get to know one another and kind of learn what you're all about. Can you tell me where you grew up?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in Fenton, which is St. Louis County, just about an hour and a half north of here. Lived there pretty much until I came to SEMO in 2000. No, it wasn't 2000. It was 1998. Graduated in 2000.
Almost.
I know. Graduated in 2002 from Southeast Missouri State.
Cool.
And moved back to St. Louis for just a short period of time, and then back to this area in 2004.
Excellent.
So shortly after I got married and had our first child.
Okay. Boy or girl?
Boy. I actually have 3 boys.
Oh my.
I now have a 15-year-old, an almost 12-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Oh, how wonderful. Yeah, I heard that having boys is kind of like the ideal thing, but I'm sure everybody would argue their own case, but I'm sure it's always exciting.
It is definitely exciting, yes.
Good. So Fenton now, I know going up and watch the Cards games, you hear about Fenton, drive through that area. What's it all about? You still go up there, still have family?
Yeah, all my family is really in that area. Well, most everyone is. And we go up there quite a bit. Not as much now as we used to, just because our kids are pretty involved here in school. They play a lot of athletics, sports, but luckily a lot of the teams take us back up that way. So anytime we're headed to St. Louis for baseball or for football or anything like that, we are able to pop in and visit with family. So that's really good.
So being in Fenton, I know that you came back down to Southeast Missouri, and obviously, you went to college here. So what was that scene like at the time?
Well, I really liked it. I got a degree in child development. Spent 4 years here. That's where I met my husband. And really had no intention of coming back to this area after graduation. Went up to St. Louis, thought I did crazy things. When I got out of school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. The 4 years didn't prepare me really for like a career.
Yeah.
I was applying to be like on the Oscar Mayer like Wienermobile. I was like going on like outward bound adventures.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out where my place was at the age of 22. But ultimately my place ended up being married with children, and my husband's job brought us back to this area. So in 2004 we moved our small family down here, and it's been almost 15 years, and this is where I call home. I love it.
Excellent. And home is Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place. I'm a little biased myself, but it's a wonderful place to be. So you guys, you come down this way, you make a life for yourself, and then speeding up a little bit, what are you doing now? What's your day look like?
Well, a lot has changed in 15 years, and a lot has actually changed just in the last few months. So when I came down here, I had several different jobs. I actually worked for the Jackson School District.
Cool.
Doing parents as teachers. I thought I would stay there. I thought I would retire there. I had my summers off. It was a great job. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I had received a phone call from a friend that said, hey, there's a position at our church in children's ministry. I think you should pray about coming on board. And that really just kind of took me out of my comfort zone. I didn't really know what that was about, but I kind of felt a pull to that as well. So I applied, and then I started working there and absolutely loved it. Worked there for 3 years. And then I started feeling another pull to stay at home and just kind of raise my own kiddos and kind of pour into them.
Yeah.
So I did that for about 3 years, and during that time I had an in-home daycare as well. So I got to pour into a lot of other people's kids. So about 2 months ago, life changed again, and I started staying home as a full-time writer. So that's kind of my new gig.
Wow.
And that's been a little bit in the making. I really feel like that's something that God had placed in me from a really young age. I just didn't know how to go about pursuing it.
Yeah.
felt really just like uncomfortable, and I thought, you know what, maybe one day someone will just discover me and I can just and I can just write books and someone will pay me to do that. But I didn't really have like grit, you know?
Okay.
And like grit wasn't really even a thing that I really even knew about until just a few years ago. And that's when I really just started pursuing this call that I felt like God placed there when I was little.
Gosh, Amanda, you've given me so much. You really have. So I'm trying to piece together where I want to go. I'm super intrigued by child development being your background and what you went to school for, and then obviously getting to learn about you going and from being in the school district to then, you know, kind of being in a ministry type of position. But let's kind of look towards what you were just speaking about when you're talking about how, you know, you're now living the entrepreneurial life.
Yeah.
So give me some of that. What's it like? Scary?
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be scary to me. Like there's so much unknown.
Yeah, there is a lot of unknown, and I will say this, like I have never felt like I was going at it alone, if that makes sense. So, my husband, one, is super supportive. If he was not willing to, you know, be our full-time income for right now, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So that's been great. He is always like, take time to write, you know, do you want me to take the kids? Do you need a quiet moment? Do you need this? Do you need that? And if he wasn't doing that, I think I would be scared half to death.
Wow.
But also just feeling like this really is, like God has placed me here in this place at this time for this reason. That gives me comfort, even on the days where I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm ever going to sell a book. I don't know if anyone's going to read the books. That keeps me going.
Well, I'm really impressed and also super proud of you for, you know, being so steadfast in your faith. I mean, it's very evident to see that your faith is huge. So, you know, you've taken this leap of faith. You've got the support of your husband, which is just something that I really would love to dive into a little bit deeper. You said if he wasn't willing to do this, if there wasn't, you know, this galvanized support behind me, pushing me forward. So how do you cultivate a relationship such as that?
Oh man, we're gonna need a marathon. We're gonna have to go beyond the walk.
Runs with dates. Yes, let's go.
Yeah. So you know what that just takes time. Time, communication, two people not giving up at the same time. So much prayer. I mean, that takes so much. We are as different as night and day. We like different things. Our humor is different. Our passions are different. I mean, everything about us is different.
Wow. Okay. You're not making me any less intrigued.
But you know, and I think that's what makes it work. Is that we just have to embrace those. And sometimes we get super frustrated with each other. And I just want him to be like me because it would be easier. You know, and I'm sure he wants me to be like him because it would be easier.
Right.
But I don't think it's about being easy.
I'm kind of hearing this anthem of work. You know, you work at it. That's why things are the way. That's why he tells me to go off into the room and write and let my creative side come out, is because you know each other on such a fundamental level that you want to see the best parts of each other come out.
Yeah, for sure. He just, you know, he's developed his own things too. He loves to play guitar. He started teaching himself how to play, and that's something that he's very passionate about. So we both have just found our own creative outlets, and we've just learned to support each other in those things and what those things are.
That's excellent. So what are you working on right now?
Well, right now, I am in the process of getting 2 books published. I have 2 books under contract. So cool. Yoga Baby is a board book. It'll be out next spring.
Okay.
And then I also have a book called The Maker, and that'll be out in spring 2020 as well. So I have other picture books that I'm working on that are just kind of being, I don't even want to say shopped around. Shopped around is probably the wrong term, but just kind of being put out there that are just not under contract yet.
Okay. You said board books. I'm not familiar with that term.
Board books are like the tiny books that babies can like mouth on and chew. They're just like thicker pages.
Oh, okay.
They're just smaller books, but those are like really popular today because they don't tear up. Babies can't tear them up.
Awesome. So, I mean, I feel so silly mentioning this, but in Elf, the movie Elf, have you ever seen that movie? And they're talking about how like the child book kind of genre is difficult. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. To produce like good quality picture books, I mean anybody can produce a picture book. I mean you can self-publish anything now on Amazon, and that is a great route for a lot of people. But to produce a book that the masses want to read, that a mom wants to read, a dad like that everyone likes to read, is just a little bit more difficult. Because your kid can bring you a book that they love, and if you hate it, you're gonna like hide the book, right? You're not gonna want to read it.
They're gonna go try to find over and over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And same thing. Like I might have a book that I think is like really heartwarming for me, but my kid might be like, I don't want to read it. So.
Gotcha. Okay. And so word on the street. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're kind of a publisher? Am I on? Am I off? Hot or cold?
Yeah. So I wouldn't call myself a publisher, but I am kind of a manager over a platform called Kingdom Edge magazine. It's an online ministry that is produced through Facebook. It was started in this area in April of 2018, and that's kind of when I hopped on board just as a contributor, just writing. The ministry is basically an online like inspirational, encouragement, faith-based, kind of just empowering people to live the life that God has called them to seek a relationship with Jesus, and then also like just be kind of empowered to talk about their faith really to other people. So right now we have about 15 contributors that write, and we produce daily content every day of the week. Stuff goes out 8 a.m. And I just kind of oversee the production of that ministry.
Sounds like such a commitment. So how do you get 15 people across the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Across the U.S. to daily commit to putting out content? I mean, that is a huge task.
Well, what I have found is that people want to share their story. Just kind of like I'm here sharing, part of my story today. Especially people that have been impacted by the life of Jesus. Like they have something to say. And so I think it's just giving people a platform to say like, hey, I've been affected in that way. I have something to say, And I think it's empowering when other people see random people that aren't necessarily like professional writers be able to put their heart out there onto the screen, and other people can read it and be encouraged by it. I think that gives people permission and gives people, just the foundation like, hey, I can do this too.
Platform.
Yeah, so people write us and say like, hey, I want to do what you're doing, and they fill out the application, and we give them an opportunity to write. And it's been such a blessing to my soul, because I really felt like I was only capable of writing for kids, and something like just sparked inside of me when I started writing for Kingdom Edge, and it just kind of unleashed this potential, and just gave me a platform to be able to share my heart and share the things that I love. And I think that's been encouraging for other people to see as well, and I think that's how we've grown in such a short period of time.
Yeah, it sounds it, and I can't wait to dive into Kingdom Edge and really get to see what it's all about. Man, I feel like I've just got this really good grasp on what drives you and what your passions are, because you've, from family to kids to, making sure that you dive in and really unpack your creative ability to write and communicate with others. If you had to put out a message to say reach 1,000 or 100,000 people, what would that message be?
I think for me the message is just that you're not alone. That there's always someone out there who has gone through what you've gone through, or that can speak into your life. I feel like so much of our world is just tech saturated, that we kind of hide behind screens and we don't spend a lot of time with people face to face. But getting to know people and getting to know people and their heart and who they are, and really discovering about yourself who you are. And I think a lot of that just comes from getting still and being with Jesus, and kind of honing in on that relationship. For me, that's when everything changed. It was no longer about just me and what do I want and what's going to make me happy. It became about what's my purpose? Why am I here? And what impact can I have on the world?
I think that we've all been blessed tonight to be able to spend some time with you, because you have given yourself the ability to self-reflect. I liked a moment ago when you said be still. Guys, we're so extremely fortunate to have somebody like Amanda Flinn join us tonight, because you have to understand that life is something that you really have to allow to be. You have to be still. You have to know that you're not alone, like she said. And I don't think there's a better message that anybody could put out, but just knowing that you are important and that you are somebody that is experiencing what somebody else has. So Amanda, I thank you again, and I hope you guys check out Kingdom's Edge. I hope that you look for her books. I really am excited to see how everything falls together. So if you guys have any questions for her, please look her up in the description, give her a like and give her a share. We'll see you next time.